Good morning, everyone. This is Dr. Rhonda Farrell, the CEO of Global Innovation Strategies and the Success Strategist, bringing you week 7 on Spotlight on Success. In prior weeks, we talked about really how you create a sustainable, growth-oriented, scalable business, some of the core seminal ways you can approach strategy, how you can approach business analysis, how you can navigate through uncertainty, and what does it mean to become a great entrepreneur. Today, we're going to continue the discussion on the aspects that are most in your control, and that's really you, your behaviors, and your exemplification of leadership attributes and behaviors within your organizations, with your partners, with your customers, and out in the broader ecosystem. And so today, our topic is inspiring change and heightening impact, leadership that transforms. And we're going to be talking about 5 different areas that will really help you go further, faster. And that's through this cultivation of leadership attributes that are scalable and that really help you move forward. Some of you may or may not be familiar with these from your professional development activities, etc. But I think please listen with an open mind, because every time we hear something, we have that little nugget of gold that can help move us forward. And so, first and foremost, when we think about phenomenal leaders, entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, executives, we think about the business outcomes and results that they're able to achieve. And too often we give short shrift to how they go about achieving those outcomes and results, and to what extent those attributes and behaviors can be the glue that enables their astronomical or exponential success in the realm of business outcomes and results. So today I want to drive us to 5 different areas of leadership behavior that you might want to consider taking a self-assessment on, examining if these are things you're already doing, or might there be some opportunity for you to embolden your behaviors around this area. First and foremost is the visionary leader, right? When we think about visionary leadership, it's really about creating space for a team to be able to bring creative ideas and strategic thinking to you. It doesn't mean you necessarily have to have all the answers. You personally have to create the strategy. You personally have to be responsible for that entire strategic framework. What it means is that you have enough gumption to realize that there are aspects to successful solutions and outcomes that perhaps you cannot see at this point on your professional journey. And so being a visionary leadership, you may be the one planting the flag on the moon, planting the flag on Mars, planting the flag on climate change, planting the flag on self-driving automobiles, planting the flag on drone delivery of goods around the global population, right? So when we think about the visionary leader, it means they have an outcome and result that they can see. And the art here is enabling yourself to open yourself up to the possibilities that there is a plethora of people, there's a plethora of parallel thinking, there's a plethora of other organizations that could potentially inform how you could go about doing that. And so a visionary leader has the foresight, but they also create the opportunity for innovation and inspiration to be able to wrap around that wanted or desired outcome and results with strategic framework, with strategic thinking, with the focus on empowering others to help them achieve that. There's a great book by Dan Sullivan, Who Not How, and it says, train yourself. Basically, you're retraining your brain to come up with the idea to see that outcome and result maturing in the future, and then instantly going to a place of who can I enlist in this mission to get this done that has the absolute best skills, knowledge, and abilities to take this and move this forward. And it gives you a great construct for creating the statements that enable someone else to understand what's most important to you in achievement at that outcome and result, so that they can then be in alignment as you're going through discovery and searching for this perfect fit for your vision. They will have the necessary top 3, 5, 10 things are most important to you in the achievement of that. The next thing, as we talked about, and this leadership that transforms discussion today, is really being able to cultivate innovation, because cultivating innovation means diversity of thought, diversity of perspective, diversity of experience. And it also means the creation of a culture that's risk-taking, that encourages this diverse ideas, that values continuous learning, that looks to that parallel thinking of how you can potentially modify what's already been done, and then bring that and I don't want to say recycle and reuse, because that's not what it is. It's taking concepts that are being created in parallel industries in a product or a service, and then being able to adapt them to your current needs. And that's an art and a science, right? The science is being able to research, to collect, to have awareness of where these data points are at. Then the science is being able to apply analytics to the opportunity space at hand, and then the art is really taking that analysis and being able to really adapt something to your future needs. And so a lot of this is culture. It's about ensuring that you're in alignment with your core values. It's about, again, modifying perhaps your risk posture to enable that really out of the box thinking, and creating space for that through idea management, through other Shark Tanks, through, again, this research out in the ecosystem, et cetera. But it really is a people, process, technology related thing, heavy on the people, because it's the cultural shift as we're learning how to cultivate innovation that oftentimes provides us the most momentum early in the process. And the next factor that we're going to talk about is really a leader that's looking to inspire change and heighten impact really needs to be able to navigate change well, and potentially adversity, right? So when you're on the bleeding edge of something, right, there's a lot of negative Nellies out there that may not understand where you're trying to go, what you're trying to do, and are they've just been naysayers for those early futurists, if you will. And so just, put your flak jacket on and just know that there's a portion of the population that is just never going to get it. They're never going to support it, and they may never use what you create in the future. And so part of this is navigating change and moving through adversity is really like a horse with your blinders on. You know the outcome and the results that you're attempting to achieve, and it's just part will, if you will. It's part showing up every day, actioning to that visionary outcome and results, and not allowing the challenge or the issues that arise to stop you, and looking at them as opportunities. Because really what we're trying to do through this navigating change and adversity is springboard, right? There's going to come that pivotal point where you're going to be able to springboard on something that happens. And that's when the scaling happens. You're not going to go from peak to peak. You're going to go from mountain range to mountain range at that point in time. So the adage here is never give up. When you feel like you're just on the brink of throwing on the towel potentially on something in an initiative, especially if it has far reaching ripple effects for your organization, you and your business, that's when the breakthrough is going to happen. Keep going and look for that, again, that springboard moment where you're going to go be launched to your next mountain range. And so there's an art, right? Part of this is navigating change and adversity and uncertainty is about having the conversation with your teams, having the conversation with your executive teams, having the conversation with your partners and your clients and your customers to really show, in any innovation cycle, here's what's likely to occur. And we have that, right, that valley of death that we have to move forward through and overcome by building bridges forward. That's when the springboard moment happens. So again, the art and the science is harness what you've learned in the first two steps, create the data decisioning model, and really move forward from there. But again, it's a lot on you, right? How you're showing up, what you're doing, how you're working with your team and guiding them through from uncertainty to resilience to empathy, and really having them be on the lookout, and your executive team and you too, for those springboard moments, because that's when the growth happens. The next element is emotional intelligence, right? If we have a leadership that transforms, that means you need to create resonance and bonding with your team, with your executives, with the ecosystem writ large, with your customers, with your partners, right? And so emotional intelligence is really being able to create that glue that fosters trust and collaboration so that you can move through change. You can move through the challenges and issues that arise. You can move through this continuous and create continuous innovation. You can move through really delivering on your vision, but that takes, again, a concerted effort on your part to say, this is how I'm going to show up, this is how I'm going to behave. And part of that is asking your team, asking your executives, asking your customers and your clients and your partners, what is it that they need? How do they like to operate? Because it can't be about you. This emotional intelligence part is how you're showing up for others, how you are being what they need. And when you can bring that to them on a consistent basis, again, that's when that baselining occurs. That's that bonding occurs. That's when that trust making occurs. And again, that's an additive to the motivation, to the achievement of the outcomes and results that you're after. Then last but not least is the element called steeped in strategy, right? We can't reach a visionary result or outcome if we don't have a framework to work from. We can't one day say we're going to go after it, and then the next day modify it, and then the next day modify it again, and then the next day put it on the shelf and say we'll revisit it later, and then the next day re-amplify that, right? Because you're going to have whiplash from across your team, across your partners, across the clients, across your sponsors, etc. Right? So steeped in strategy means once you've got that visionary outcome and results, then you have to reverse engineer, right? It's about reverse engineering. What are the main things I need to do to be able to bring that vision to fruition, right? And so we need to create a plan or a framework. It doesn't have to be 300-page dissertation, right? It just needs to be one page. Here are my mile markers here. So we want to be looking at three things, right? Here's how our who's who are going to be involved. Here's our what's, and here's our how, right? And really all we need to do that is a one-page high level. And then we need to put some targets, right? We go back to that. If we're in the bullseye on a consistent basis, then we know that we're on point to being able to achieve that. But the who, the what, and the how, and then how do you want your organization to be experiencing that change, right? You can't have a far-reaching visionary outcome and results and be the same organization, be the same team, be the same person more than likely that you are today than when you achieve that out in the future, right? And so part of that is thinking through whom do you need to become, how does your organization need to morph and grow, and what else do you need to be putting in place to bolster to that level of success. So again, 5 factors for leadership that transforms, inspiring change and heightening impact. This has been Dr. Rhonda Farrell, the CEO of Global Innovation Strategies, with week 7 of Spotlight on Success. I hope these conversations have enabled you to go further faster. We look forward to serving you next week with week 8 on our 52-week journey through 2024 on Spotlight and Success.